Hi, I'm Dr. Drew Hanks with the Smarter Lunchrooms movement and the Cornell Center for Behavioral Economics and Child Nutrition Programs. Today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the types of data available in school lunchrooms and the forms that they come in. In our research, we typically collect three types of data: production records, sales records, and tray waste records. And I will explain the importance and the usefulness of each of these types of records. But first of all, I want you to keep this point in mind. Data are the information we use to evaluate the efficacy of changes we make in school lunchrooms. So each of these types of data, the production records, the sales records, and the tray waste records, help us to understand how our changes led students to particular types of behavior. So we start with production records. These records are what cafeteria staff use to document the amount of servings they prepare for students and the amount of servings they give to students. These are usually come in paper-based form, and that's typically what they send to us. Now, why are production records so useful? First of all, production records are useful so we can understand an aggregate behavior of students in the lunchroom. What are the trends? What in aggregate are students taking? What do they like? What do they not like? When certain types of entrees are offered, what types of side items do they take? When we have a particular day where we're highlighting an entree, are students taking more of that entree? Are they taking more of certain types of vegetables to accompany that entree? That's what production records help us see and understand. Now, some of the shortcomings of production records are that they are not student level, so we can't identify behavior of particular students. But we are able to track aggregate behavior within a particular lunchroom. Now, what form do production records come in? Like I said before, school cafeteria staff keep paper records of these production records, and we typically request that they send us photocopies of those. This leads me to our second type of data: sales records. Why are sales records so useful? Well, we are able to track particular items that students purchase over time. So we can see what particular items students are purchasing on a daily basis. So we can track individual behavior over time as well as aggregate behavior over time. In most of the research we've done, however, we're only able to track whether or not a student purchased a school lunch program meal, and we aren't able to identify which entree they took or what side items they took. But we do know what a la carte items they took. In a couple studies, though, we have actually asked cafeterias to reprogram their registers so that we can track what side items students took along with their entree. And you may think, oh goodness, this is going to take so much time. It's going to increase the amount of time it takes students to get through the line. The cafeteria staff are going to fight back against this sort of rekeying of the registers. But we found that with one afternoon of appropriate training, cafeteria staff were able to get students through the line with only an addition of 0.3 seconds per student. In other words, it didn't increase transaction time very much at all. So rekeying the register was able to help us track the milks the students were taking, their side items, the fruits, the vegetables, and other items they were taking with their school lunch program meal. And this helped us identify the behavior with much greater precision. So those are the sales data we can collect. One of the downfalls of sales data, though, is that we are not able to track whether or not the students are eating the food that they take. So that leads me to the tray waste records. Tray waste records are essential for understanding what students eat, how much of that food they're actually taking into their bodies. Now, when I say tray waste records, that means, yes, we actually go in and measure waste. We have developed, though, a very efficient way of collecting tray waste records. A lot of times what researchers do is go in and weigh the foods, the amount of foods left on each tray. So they have to go in and weigh each particular item on a scale. Now, this is very time intensive and labor intensive. We have developed a method that takes about 3 to 5 seconds per tray, where researchers have a sheet of paper they use to document the percentage of food a student is throwing out, or how much is left on a particular tray. Now, this method is very efficient and very precise, and it helps us know how much of that food students are actually taking into their bodies. The downfall of tray waste records, or our method, is that we don't track individual behavior over time. This can be done, and it's been done in plenty of studies, but it requires more resources and it's much more expensive. And we are interested in ways that we can suggest to school lunchrooms to conduct research in their own settings. And we have found that our method is very useful and very effective. Now you think, what do we do about collecting these data, or how can I approach cafeteria staff to collect these types of data? Well, like I said before, the production records come in paper form, and so we request that school lunch staff make photocopies of those records and send them to us. And then we enter them by hand into a spreadsheet form, which is used for analysis. Now the sales records, we've had sales records come to us in two types of forms. You can have them in PDF format, and also we've had situations where schools can send them to us in spreadsheet form already. When they're sent to us in PDF form, we enter them by hand. But it's also great to have them sent to us in CSV or spreadsheet form as well. And the tray waste records are, once again, on paper-based. We collect them via in a paper-based system. So it's important to talk to school cafeteria staff and know what type of setting, situation you can arrange in order to collect the tray waste records, or if it's just going to be a researcher or two standing next to the garbage cans and looking at the trays as students throw their trays away or throw their waste away. So these are the types of data that we collect. Once again, production records, sales records, and waste records. Each of these types of records are essential for understanding behavior and for tracking and evaluating the effectiveness of the interventions we put in place in school lunchrooms. Once again, I'm Dr. Drew Hanks with the Smarter Lunchroom Movement and Cornell Center for Behavioral Economics and Child Nutrition Programs. Please go to www.smarterlunchrooms.org for more support and a lot of great materials to help you conduct research in your own lunchroom.